guys, welcome back to the channel, Hyphens Classics. Today it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag. Yes, we're still looking at the brakes. Yes, we will be working on the Mini, but we're also going to be working on the Land Rover today. So let's see if that confuses some of the fans. Okay, so in the last episode we did run out, we put in the rear brake pads. Finally we got the R56 brake pads. We've given away the R53 brake pads. Please check out the video for the draw and the results of that. And if you entered, and yes, one thing I did forget to mention that, so everyone who commented with the answer, yes, you were correct, it was Silver Project control arms. So what else did we do? We connected the handbrake, so all the back is pretty much connected and ready to go. We left the episode with a slight issue. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing with these calipers. However, I did, unfortunately, again, I guess it's one of my things, sorry. I constantly try to think of how to fix a car, and I don't always think about turning on the camera. So what happened is after I closed up everything last weekend, after all the videoing and I put everything away, I came back to it and it was just one of those things that was bugging me, and I had to come up with an answer. So I did pull off the calipers again. I had a look and noted that the hub, it had been painted over the mounting lugs. There was a bit of paint over it, so I managed to, I wasn't keen because I didn't really think I had any the right tools, but I hunted around and found those little tiny flappy discs you put on the air guns. And I thought this could be okay. And so we gave that a little try, got rid of the paint, smoothed up the surface, double checked the mounting bracket so it wasn't wobbling or anything silly like that. Also got to check the disc run out, so check the gaps between the top and the bottom. And I've got it now within spec for my sake of what it says in the, well, for most part what it says in the book. The difference being is that the gaps are within, well, they're less than 0.5 millimeter difference now is the thing. And now while one might think it needs to be perfect, which I would agree, the problem is the shims are 0.5 millimeter, and so if you go, you know, if you've got 0.3 of a millimeter difference, if you take some off, then you're going to go too close, then you've got to put shims on, you go too far the other way. So it's balanced right where it is at the moment. So the other thing that's said in the book is there should be no more than 1 millimeter gap between the pad and the rotor. However, I don't know how I can do anything about that. There is a slightly bigger gap than that, but that could just be the size of the pads. I don't know. So I didn't go for the race pads. I only put on the sport pads for this particular instance. So I don't know if that's related, but anyway, that's where we're at. And now, so I'm pretty happy with all that, but we're going to start looking at bleeding both cars today. So for that, we need some box spanners. These aren't quite the right. So the idea is to try and not round them off what they want. So what you need is a proper hex spanner. These aren't correct. The size is correct, but this what you want to use is this end, but with only the 6 sides. And the reason for that is you really contain the nut. Now I do have a box spanner. This is 10 mil in the front. Of course they're different in the back. They're 11 mil in the back. So I'll have to see if I've got one. But the idea is you obviously need something that you can put the drain hose on like this, and then have it fit through the spanner, so you can take this on and off. So, you know, it's a matter of, you probably can't see it much, but we'll show you in a bit closer up in a minute. But so you want to be able to do this sort of thing. Okay, now if you do this a lot, there are some special spanners for this sort of work. So I imagine if you do this a lot, if you're a mechanic, for example, you probably have one of those nice expensive tools. And maybe if I do more of this, maybe I'll get one as well. Problem being, of course, that's an imperial. This is metric. The tools I've seen are purely metric at the moment, so I don't know. Anyhow, so what we're going to do, obviously it's going to be slightly different now with these calipers, because this is, you know, not your standard road car caliper. There are 2 bleed screws on this because there's 2 sides, 2 sets of cylinders. On the rear, they're standard, 1 brake, 1 bleed nipple. So what we need to do first of all is find the furthest away from the reservoir, or from the master cylinder, as they say. However, of course, I think it's distance, right? Because the master cylinder is over on the far side, but that doesn't mean this side is the furthest away, because the ABS sensor's here. So the fluid's got to travel from there to here first, and then from here it goes out to the brakes. So here, this near side front happens to be the closest. So this will be the last one we do. So the furthest from here is actually the far side back. So that's where we'll start. We'll come over to this side, over to that side, and then to this side. And when we do the fronts, again, we've got to start with the furthest away. There's an outside nipple, which you can just see here that we're on. Then there's an inside nipple in here. So we'll do the outside first, and then the inside. So this one in here will be the last one that we bleed. Okay, so as I said, we've got to do this. We've got to do the Land Rover as well. So I have got a bleed kit here that I tried. It's a one-man version. I tried it on the Land Rover, and this is still the fluid. This is .5 fluid that's in the Land Rover. I tried this kit, didn't like it. It just overflowed the master cylinder, and I had to just clean up a mess. And I mean, the concept's a good one, but it just again, it didn't work for me. So maybe I was just doing something wrong. Anything's possible, but there you go. I'm going to wait for someone else to turn up so we can do the standard good old me sitting here, someone in the car. I open up the nipple, I ask them to press the brake in, they hold it, I close the nipple, they let the brake back up, and we just do that until I'm happy that all of the bubbles are out. So we've got plenty more of this brake fluid now. I've got a couple more bottles of this during the week, so that it's full up at the moment, but obviously the cylinders won't be, the calipers will not be full up yet, so we'll probably go through at least a bottle of that, filling up all of the calipers, and then possibly go through another one just trying to get rid of the bubbles. So it'll give us hopefully one spare, fingers crossed. Always good to have plenty, because just remember, once this gone through the system out through here, the drain hose into a cylinder, it's no good to you. You shouldn't be putting it back in, because it could have picked up contamination on the way through. You'd have no idea what's in it. You go and put it back in, it could cause problems with your braking system. So always use clean fluid when you're putting it in there. Right, big long a big long opening speech from me today, but quite important stuff. But I'm going to get on with this. Unfortunately, there'll be a bit of a pause for me, not for you. I'll just splice this in the edit, but as I said, I've got to wait for someone to turn up. So I'm going to go and do a few other things, and then there'll be plenty of video footage when someone turns up and I can actually start doing this work. So enjoy what's to come. Okay, before we get into the brake bleeding, one of the little jobs we need to think about is we hadn't... Oh, so I just tightened that up. Not this going anywhere for the moment. But anyway, so the clips. So I have a whole bunch of these E-clips, just an assorted amount, and found that this fits on. Looks like it's going to fit on fairly well. So obviously I'm not going to push that one with my thumb. That'll be impressive if I could, but I certainly might end up with a sore thumb after that. But anyway, we're going to try and put those on, get those clipped on, so we've got that, we know that's in place, not going to move around. I'm interested to see that these pipes are quite close together as well. I'll have to have a look at that as well, because we don't want any of these things rubbing against each other during the use of the car. That will just lead to problems. So we'll have a look at that. We'll just get this clip in, and then we'll have a look. See, this is on an adjustable band, so I might be able to move it. It's not going to be not going to be able to move it a lot, but we'll see how we go. Okay, what are we just doing? We've cleaned up all the back of the car. We've cleaned everything up off the floor. Checked a couple of the bolts, make sure everything's buttoned up. We also, you probably would have seen, I was adjusting the holders on the far side coilover, so the holders for the brake line and the brake pad sensor. So it's just when you looked at the near side here, there was a decent gap between the handbrake cable and the Hell brake line. On the far side they were almost touching, so I've adjusted that a little bit to give myself a good bit of gap. The last thing we want is those things rubbing, because we don't want any holes in brake lines. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, I had fitted this, so the calipers, I haven't put the Loctite on yet and tightened up the bolts to the correct torque settings, so we're going to do that now. So yeah, we can do that now. Enjoy. Got a few little jobs on the Land Rover going to do today. We're supposed to be checking the brakes and doing a few things there, but that may be in a different episode. Maybe we've also got to do the mini brakes, so that may happen at the same time. However, I hadn't put any antifreeze in the car. So what I've done, I did have some water when I was first testing and running the car. Now, mine just happens to have a nice tap sitting here. So we're going to just empty out, it's really handy, put a hose on, run it out the front. As you can see, I've already run a little bit out, but if we just open up the tap, there we go, open that up, get a little bit more of that out. Oh, I think we've got most of it out from that. No, a little bit still coming. So I just want to take roughly a third of that out. I don't need a lot. It's partly obviously for protection in the engine, and also, oh, nice bits of rubbish in there. So it's a bit of protection for all the waterways, etc. is part of what it's about. But and also, you know, as winter will approach, anything to help the car will be very good to make sure the water's moving freely inside the engine. We don't have any issues with frozen water and then starting the engine during cold snaps, which we know we get here. Right, so I've emptied a little bit out. We're just going to now fill a bit in here. Then we'll probably give the engine a start up just to get that mixed up. we'll leave that for a moment. I know it needs to run a bit longer, but it's inside at the moment and everything's shut up and I'm going to gas myself. So we'll give it a minute. I've got to move everything around anyway in a minute, so we'll have it run a little bit outside. Right. I was in a bit of a hurry because I had someone come to help me and I didn't want to take up too much time, so again started something without filming, so apologies for that. But it's hasn't gone terribly well to start with. When I was doing the rear brakes, there's a seal in the back here. There's an O-ring, and there's an O-ring and a more sort of a round one, and then there's a O-ring which is sort of more slightly squarer. And when I put the normal O-ring in, I couldn't get the stuff back in, and I figured that, you know, maybe I was using the wrong one, so I put the square one in, but then that went in, well, it went in fairly easily, so I was kind of left wondering whether I'd done the right thing. And well, apart from the lighting, that is not from the bleeding, that is from the back of the caliper. So obviously I've done something wrong. So I can't say I'm very happy with myself, to be fair, because obviously I've now got to take that apart. All of that fluid's going to come out, and I've got to do that properly, which is a mighty pain in the bum. Not to mention that's a really, really difficult thing to work on, and especially here on the car. But I'm loathed to undo all of the brake lines and everything to get this off again. Obviously getting the handbrake bits off, the sensor off, that's not a big problem. So I'm going to see if I can work on it here. I'm not 100% sure I can. And like I said, this is going to be full of fluid that I've got to empty out and basically throw away. So I can't say I'm incredibly blah. Yeah. One of those things, right? You have ups, you have downs. Anyway, got to get on and do this somehow without getting too pissed off. Okay, well, that didn't get very far, I'm afraid. So, rears are on, the rear one's on, which, as you can see, this was all in aid of trying to get this down to the garage, but I thought I had tried the fronts. I don't know what's changed, but maybe I just didn't have, again, maybe I've just not had it sitting right, but I'm sure I had that buttoned up a little bit and no problems, but no, she doesn't fit. the front wheel, so the wheel's hitting the caliper, so I'm stuck. I can't do anything at the moment. This is going to need spacers on it. I'm going to put a call out today and just see if anyone's got any, 5mm spacers or something that I can use, just so I can get it down to the garage and back, and then decide where to go from there. But this will all have happened by the time you see this video, I think, because I've got another video to get out before this one, so it may be a little bit before this one comes out. So I didn't move anything because obviously I don't want to scratch the paint work here, but it was definitely touching here, and all I had was I'd just done up this top one. So it's not even worth trying to do anything more. It's a bit confusing because I'm 100% sure. I know I tried it, and I know I did because there was someone else here when I tried it. But fact is, it's not working. It's not right. So there's not much I can do at the moment. Great news! I put a post on R53 Club, and 2 people responded. So Alicia, thank you very much, and Tom, thank you very much, who just lives nearby, and he has some spacers I can use, so I'm off to grab them. Okay, so far today things are going really well, and I've managed to get these brakes out, rebuild them with the other O-ring. Hopefully this is the proper one. Hopefully this is all good now, and I managed to find a bit of a technique that helps me get everything in. The second one the one on the near side did fight me still, but I think it's a combination of the type of long nose pliers I have. Long nose pliers, these circlet pliers, and the fact that these are still they're very thick through here, and I did grind a lot away from here, but I just probably need to buy another tool. I was looking at a different tool that possibly looked like it may have worked better, but I bought these because they look nice and strong, and didn't look cheap and nasty. But there you go, we're here now. So I did get it in. This one went in quite quickly and easily, which after the fight I had just doing it in the first place, kind of wondering what the heck I was doing. But it's all good. Now, as for front spacers, so big shout out to Tom Cottrell. So not too far away from me, luckily, and he had some 15mm spacers that he wasn't using, came with his car, he'd taken them off. And so what we're going to do now is going to give them a quick clean up, and we're going to put them on the car just to check and see how they look, because what I will do, unfortunately when Tom got his car, he only had 4 nuts one side, 3 nuts the other side, so obviously I won't be relying on this long term, but this absolutely gets me out of a hole, because while I could get some tomorrow morning, I want to get the car in to the garage tomorrow by, typically the garage is there from like 7 o'clock, so I like to be there, get in, get out, and then I can still get a full day's work done. So this has been a massive help to me. So again, thanks Tom. Like I said, send me a message when you need some help yourself. Anything you need for that rear end that you're doing. Anyway, so I want to go over to the bench, give these a bit of a clean up. We're going to test fit one of the wheels, and then what I'm going to do is somehow start trying to bleed the brakes and see how we go, see if I've got any leaks anywhere. So yeah, we'll get onto that, and hopefully a positive outcome. Okay, here goes. So they'll sit on there. This is going to be fun, obviously, without studs. Making sure they still lines up by the time I get all this on. yeah, nothing more to do. Just let's try and get this one on. Again, so this is not going on permanently at the moment. This is just a double check. I still need to bleed the brakes. With any luck, we're good in the rear now. But just make sure I don't have any other issues. But for now, wheels are on, we've got movement, we can get this to the garage. Again, Tom, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, first time this car's had all four wheels on in a long time, quite a few months. There's definitely some alignment. I haven't lined up that steering very well. Definitely got two wheels pointing in slightly different directions. But it should be enough, hopefully, to get it on the trailer. Yeah, slightly out there. Let's see. We need to double check we got fluid. I have to check the fluid. I have to get a torch just to check that. Let's quickly grab one. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. We're well within. You can see that properly. We're sort of right on the seam there, to be honest. So well over minimum and before maximum. So that should be right. I think there's only a little bit left in here. I think there's only a little bit left in this bottle anyway, so I may just tip it in. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Yeah, just a dribble. So far, the process of flushing, me having a problem with the rears, and then bleeding, has taken 1.5 litres. That is the third bottle. So the first bottle was the flush. The second bottle, well, was partly mistakes, but partly filling it up. And then this third one was the bleeding process. So 2 down, there's another one over there. The other thing we need to remember, I said I need to redo this, and we also need to check this power steering. I'm not going to be worried too much about it because it's only going up onto the trailer, and I'm going to see if I can. But first of all, we're going to see if I can actually get this on the ground. Now, what we'll try and do here as well. Oh, that's a little bit close, isn't it? I was going to say, we'll try and put the camera somewhere where you can possibly see what's going on. Let's see if we can put it somewhere here. Oh, yep, you can see a bit there. Put that there. Hopefully my phone doesn't fall on the ground because that will be somewhat disastrous. There she is, all on the ground. She looks pretty high in the back. I think I'm going to have to do some adjustments there. She looks massively high in the back. Front, looks maybe standard. Don't know, a little bit hard to tell. Right guys, that's been a bit of a tough weekend, but you know, sometimes things just don't go the way you want them to. So you got to just carry on, pick yourself up and start again the next day, because you know the next day is going to be so much brighter. And if not, you know, one will come. And I think that's the one thing I always look forward to. I know that the next day I'll feel a bit better, and whatever problem I faced, I'll just get on, fix it, and then move on, which we've done. We've done the rear brakes. Everyone was really good. And as you can see, we've now got the car up on the trailer. Unfortunately, there is one more technical difficulty that I have to face, but unfortunately this video's got really, really long, so you'll have to wait for the next one. So please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you can find out what happened next. See you on the next one, guys. Take care for now. Thank you very much.